Welcome to the sixth episode of the First Customer Club. Super happy to be outside here. Aside from the geese poop, I'm Luke Bohaneke, and I just got off the horn with my good friend David Dang, who went from 0 to 1.4 million Instagram followers in 3 years organically. He invested $300. That's it to get him rolling. So a couple things about David. Number one, serial entrepreneur. Number two, multiple income streams. Number three, he knows a thing or two about building social presence. He's had the chance to interview people like Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson. So specifically on this talk, I loved that I pushed him to break up the different phases, how he went from 0 to 10,000 followers. 10,000 to 100,000 followers, 100,000 to a million followers, the mentality and also some of the tactics and hacks that he used, what worked. And I got him to also share what he would do in 2020 if he was kickstarting today, starting from scratch, whether he'd join channels like TikTok or stick to Instagram. I got his opinion. Click like if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe if this is something you'd like to see more of. Hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks. So, David, thanks for joining me on this chat. How's your day going so far, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you?
I'd give it about a 7 out of 10 so far. Yeah, but we should be in for a good treat here. I know you back from our university days, and I actually remember when we first met, you really popped out to me because I met you at a student entrepreneurship event a handful of years ago. And I remember you basically came across as this guy that has such a clear goal. You told me then that you're going to build an Instagram following, that you're going to figure out how to build an audience. You had such a clear goal, and then you went and you did that. So I always tell you, as your friend now in this personal life journey, that you're one of my favorite entrepreneurs. Completely holds true, completely serious about that. And, I'm excited to learn a little bit from you today.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah. So how would you wrap up your current situation in a nutshell? So to give the listeners a quick idea as to where things are at today, maybe you want to share, where are you spending most of your time? What your Instagram account is looking like right now? What are you focused on doing next? How do you wrap up David Dang in 2020?
Well, right now my Instagram account, I have two Instagram accounts. The first one is mainly for business, which is called Entrepreneurship Facts. It has 1.4 million followers right now, and which is also growing at, on average, 2,000 to 3,000 new followers a day on average. And my second one, which I just started recently in the last few months, my personal account, which is I am David Dang. I'm trying to build my personal brand, to build a personal brand around myself. And yeah, that one has 27,000 followers right now. My goal is hopefully I can scale it to at least close to 100,000 by the end of this year. That's the goal. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds good. So I'm going to hold you to that. At the end of this year, we're going to come in and check, and that's when we'll do the next episode, right, buddy?
Sounds good. Part 2.
Awesome. So I really want to get into the nitty-gritty story about, I want to talk about a few things, but one of them is about the details of how you grew your following, how you grew it from day one. You built, your 1.4 million followers in around 3 years. And as I understand, it didn't happen all at once. It wasn't linear. It was very much J-curve. Do you remember how you actually started that channel? Do you remember what your goal was for the channel? Like at day one, did you want to grow it to millions of subscribers, or what was your goal when you had 0?
Yeah, on day one, I would never imagine it would ever reach a million, to be honest with you. Like on day one, the big goal was really like 100,000, and like that would be the dream. Like that was, well, let's go back on how it started. It was probably on my last year of university, which around the same time where I first met you at University of Manitoba. I studied marketing and entrepreneurship in school, and my whole point, the whole goal of doing that, which is to start my own business, to be my own boss by the time I graduate. But then on my last year, I realized that whatever I was learning in school, it wasn't, I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I was learning the stuff to be my own boss. I feel like the stuff I was learning was preparing me to be an employee. Even though I was studying entrepreneurship, like I just didn't feel ready. So I thought, okay, what can I do? What are my options? I can either finish school, go get a job, because I didn't know what kind of business I would start. I don't even know what I would do if I didn't get a job. So that was one of the options. And like most kids nowadays, what I did was I went on Google, I searched how to start a business online, and I found a bunch of different all kind of information, a lot of scammy stuff, a lot of other good stuff, but just a lot of information overall. But one thing I found in common is that it doesn't matter what I'm gonna do, whether I build a business, I sell a product, I sell a service. The number one thing all businesses need is customer, is an audience, an access, like a way to get your message out there to your potential customers. Okay, and as I learn, as I try to figure out things, I remember listening to a podcast, listening to a guy who was saying he built his business from zero to multiple six figures entirely off Instagram by building an audience on Instagram. And then he starts selling his product and service to his audience. I was like, cool, okay, I don't know what business I'm going to start yet. I don't know what I'm going to sell yet, but it sounds like building an audience is one of the first things that I need to do. That's something I have to do. So because he started his business on Instagram, guess what? I started mine on Instagram as well. Then I started, so after that, I searched how to build an audience on Instagram, how to create content, pretty much just do my own research and educating myself. And that's pretty much how it started. And it was roughly the same time where I first met you again. Yeah. I told you my idea, okay, I want to build this Instagram page. And yeah, that's how it started. It took me, the first year, it took me about a year to get to about 10,000. And then another year to went from 10,000 to 100,000. But that's when the big jump, like you already see the jump, right? The first year to the second is from 100,000, from 10,000 to 100,000. But then on the third year, it went from 100,000 to 1 million. So, I mean, I don't believe it. I'm going to crack 10 million in the fourth year. Definitely not. But that was how my story went.
And did you spend money on getting those followers, or how did you handle organic versus paid?
Well, when I first started, I spent $300, about $300 in total. That's all I ever spent. And most people, they don't believe this. Like when I tell them this, I don't spend anything. When I first started, when it was at zero, I paid about $300 in marketing to Facebook Instagram ads, and then page large account to promote me. This is a small budget. I mean, back then I was a broke student. And I didn't have a lot of money to spend. And yeah, so I spent $300 to get my account to about 3,000 followers, which I think the result was pretty good. And also back then, Instagram game was a little bit easier than now. So I spent $300 to went from 0 to 3,000. But from there on, it's 100% entirely organic. Just from there on, it's just content. Yeah. 0 to 1.4 million in 3 years with $300 upfront investment. That's pretty good. So I'd love to try to put this into buckets. I think your first bucket, you said from 1 to 10,000, right? Or from 0 to 10,000. Do you remember some of the tactics that didn't work or really did work? Do you remember how you got your first few people that were excited about your content and clicked that follow button? Well, to be honest, of course, the goal to start a page was to hopefully monetize it down the road to turn it into something. But yeah, really, when I start, I walk into it with the mindset of I'm doing this for fun. I'm learning. Yes, exactly. I'm learning. Like this, I'm posting content that I'm already interested in, which is motivational quotes, business facts, stuff around business entrepreneurship, something that I'm already consuming every single day. And instead of just consuming it, I'm publishing it. So I'm sharing what I'm learning with the world. So, which is, I walk into with that mindset. And what was your question again? I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's part of it. It's the mindset, but also the tactics. So you're starting from nothing. You didn't put a lot of pressure on yourself. You were doing it to learn.
Do you remember some of your actual tactics that you matched
Okay.
with that mindset in order to go from 0 to 10,000? What were the things that worked that you saw that actual growth happen? Because
Okay.
people get
Okay.
overwhelmed.
Okay. So yeah, I walk into with that mindset. So I just start create content that I'm interested in. And one of the, like that's it. I just start posting the stuff I'm interested in, and then some of it did really well. Some of it just get no traction at all, and I just learn from there because I keep posting consistently every single day, and then multiple times a day. Pretty much just follow what I've learned from the gurus that was teach like online where they share tips on how to grow on Instagram. So I post a lot consistently, and then from there I try to figure, okay, if this content did really well, I better do it again. So I focus on what's working, and then the stuff that doesn't seem to work, I just stop posting those things. That's pretty much the entire strategy. And like one of the mistakes I found a lot of people when they started, they start posting stuff that they see other people are posting. It works too, but for me, I just stopped posting stuff that I enjoy, which make the journey much more fun for me. I don't have to feel like creating content that I'm not even interested in. So I was just learning stuff that I'm interested in, share it, and then whatever is working, I keep focusing on those things that are working. Yeah.
For sure. Was there a tactic that you tried that worked specifically on getting people to click the follow button? Because when you're growing from nothing, it's not showing up in anybody's news feeds, right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. So like, I know
Exactly.
there's a lot of different things that you can do to make that happen, but can you remember one that really worked well? Were you searching for, were you engaging on other channels? Were you following people that you thought could be in your target market? Or what do you remember being
Okay.
like a really cool start?
Yeah. So yeah, when you first started, of course, when you have 0 followers, doesn't matter what you post, almost nobody gonna see it except for your 3 buddies that following your page, right? Or your
Your
mom.
your grandmother that's tech savvy. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So when you first started, almost nobody gonna see your content. So the question would be, how do you get your content out there to more people so that they can see it? So I guess that's exactly why I spent $300 upfront. I think that's really kickstart to get the momentum going by getting it from 0 to 3,000 followers, so that I have a small base that then I can quickly test out my content. Because it doesn't matter when you post, your grandma gonna like your post, like, oh, your post is amazing, like, right?
Yeah.
So those are not really a good validation for your content. So you need actual followers, actual people who follow you because they enjoy your content. So that's what you need. So that's why when first I create a bunch of content, I start posting them, I realized that nobody's seeing my content. That was like, it took me about 2 months of consistently posting and nobody saw my content.
Hmm.
And then as I researched and I learned, okay, I think, okay, I could pay these large accounts who have my target audience to post my content. So then, okay, I pay them. So that's how I started. First, I reached out to Medium account, which has like, it depends. Back then, it was a little bit cheaper, but I paid like $20 to get a guy with like 150,000 followers to share my content. And that's how I started. I test out a piece of content for like $20, and then if it works, then I duplicate that process. If it doesn't work, I change out the content, I change out the caption. So that's how I first got my small following. I said by paying those large accounts to share my content. If people actually like it, if I actually have good content, it's like instant validation on my content. You can think of it like your product. Like you're trying to sell your product, right? Now you're really selling your content, and your customer, they're not paying you money, they're paying you attention, which is I think more valuable than money. So now if they like your content is valuable, they will pay you attention, which means they're gonna follow you to see more of it. So that's how I quickly validate my content, by pay other account who already have the reach to display my content to my target audience. If they like it, they follow me. That's how I test it.
Makes sense. And then how were you seeing the process? So once you had your base, you had those initial people, you spent $20 here and there to basically to build a group of people that helps you test and validate, which is amazing. So you don't spend that 2 months again and again where you're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
what should the image be, what should the caption be, what do people like, not like, all that stuff.
The process of like it's really speed up your process, because if you don't have that small base at first, it could take you years to really figure out how to create good content, because the feedback take a long time to come to you if you don't have a following, right? So now, by paying upfront, you get the speed way quicker. So when I get to 3,000 followers, I know what's working. Okay, this kind of content is what working. It get me 3,000 followers. All I have to do is just replicating this process over and over again.
So you spent $300 and you got around 3,000 subscribers. Is that okay? Sounds good, considering, you know, the art of the start. It's the most challenging at the beginning. When you had the 3,000 base, how did that help you grow from there? I'm not an expert on Instagram. That's why I'm talking with you, man. You know, I understand that people can see the content that other, you know, I can see the things that my followers are liking, but it's not necessarily at the top of my news feed. I also understand people can tag me in a comment. There's a lot of different ways that you can spread. How did you see the spread? What was the most successful way that you grew from that initial 3,000?
Okay. Yeah, from there, there's a lot of different strategy, but for me, I just focus on content that can go viral, that people want to share with their friends, right?
Okay.
So if you have a follower who has, on average, each of them would have, you know, a few hundred followers. If you share something useful, helpful, and then that's relatable to them, they're gonna share to their friends. Now, from that one person, you should reach another 200-300 people for free. So that's one of the strategy that worked really well for me, which is focus on content. Really, you just have to understand psychology a little bit on what people want to see and what do they share with their friends. So I guess I spend a lot of time on not just Instagram, but Facebook as well. I pay attention to how my friends are sharing stuff. It's not just the content post. I say, if they share a link or they share something from another page or from a business page, I try to identify, okay, why did they share this post? What made them, you know, like in their mind, what caused them to share that post? Then as I pay attention to those things, I just create the content in that direction. Okay, this kind of thing, okay, let's say if it's a positive message or something motivational or something that trigger their emotion, then okay, maybe I should try to incorporate those things into the message. Or maybe if you be a little bit more controversial, because I guess here's a big tip: be controversial. When you create content, pick one side. Like, you have to be clear. Pick one side. Don't stand between. Because if you try to put out a message that run between, that please everybody, nobody gonna share that. Because when you pick one side, yes, the other side will not gonna like your content, will probably hate you, and then will comment, oh, you're stupid, you're dumb, that's not right.
But who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, I'm doing that intentionally, because the good thing is that actually it's better, because, well, also a lot of the time I found that the haters, the people on the other side, they tend to engage with the content much more like
commenting. Yeah,
they're gonna comment, and then they're gonna say something stupid, and then like they're gonna keep commenting, which help with the reach. It helped with the algorithm to boost it to more people. And then the people who agree with you, who like that content, they're gonna share to their friends. So that's why when I post something, pick one side, be controversial. Because if you try to please everybody, you put a message that's neutral, nobody, like, they may agree with the point, but they're not, most likely not gonna share it, and they're not gonna engage with it.
Yeah. So we're talking, could this be politics? Could this be religion? Could this be something completely different? Just a strong opinion on a topic, some kind of personal philosophy. You're saying that, you know, you should take the risk of perhaps, you know, pissing a few people off, because if you stand, you know, you either you stand for something or you stand for nothing, right? And you want your followers to love you for a reason, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess I'm careful with politics and religion. Like, I don't talk about those things, because those things can be very sensitive and can really piss off a lot of people. But I see a lot of people who are successful talking about those stuff. But for me, I stick to my lane, which is like I talk about marketing, Instagram, business, and then of course I'm polarized. I pick a side, but I only pick the side that I truly and strongly believe in. That if people were to challenge it, I can defend it. So I'm not just doing it for the sake of getting the engagement, just to piss people off for no reason. Yes, I pick a side, but I pick the side that I truly believe in, and Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Makes total sense. So when people were sharing this content, was the most popular way by tagging a friend in the comment section, or what would you say is the perfect way to have a follower engage another follower?
Yeah, so they are the two main way that people share this with their friends. First way is they share to the story, Instagram story, because when you post something, there's that I guess paper airplane symbol where they tap on it, they're gonna share to the Instagram story, or they're gonna tag their friends. And then how I encourage this is that is in the caption, I have a call to action like tag somebody who needs to see it, tag an entrepreneur, or share this with your friends and family. Just have a simple call to action, and if the content is good and relevant to what like it's relevant to them, they're gonna share with their friends, right? So I always add every single post in the caption. I always have a call to action.
Yeah, I see two different types of posts like that. I see sometimes you see a channel, they ask you to comment, to like, to post, to to leave a symbol, to leave a burning fire, whatever it might be, and
Yep.
then nobody does anything, and all you have is some spam bots that are saying like for a like and all this stuff, and you can tell it's not real people. And
Yep.
then you have the other side of things when it's really authentic people that are excited about the content, that are sharing it. I guess the difference between those two is just the quality of the content, right? Because you can ask somebody to like your page, to tag a friend if they,
Yes.
if they like it, but at the end of the day, if you understand what your target market likes and you hit that audience with the right thing, you can get something that's authentic. Do you see a fine line between the successful, please share this, and the not successful, please share this? And how do you make sure that you're successful with that ask? Am I right? Is it just have relevant content?
I think relevant content is the key here. People will do things that they feel strongly believe in and they feel related to them. If you share something that they very emotionally attached to, they tend to share it or engage with it, which is very true specifically when you talk about religion and politics. Those are the two things that if you go on social media, people tend to it can easily get emotionally triggered by those two things.
Yeah.
So it's the content that really costs people to whether or not they're gonna follow with your call to action, whether they do it or not. I think the content is the key.
Makes total sense. If you didn't pay that initial $300, David, to help get your first 10,000, I'm sure it would have taken longer to achieve, but you would have still got there. Any comment?
I believe so. I believe I will still get there, but it will take me at least another 6 months if I didn't do that. At least minimum another 6 months. So for $300 and save me 6 months, I pay it anytime.
That's a good return on investment. So before we go any further, I dropped a beer off in your mailbox
Yeah.
just today. Initially, I thought this said Pinot Noir, which is a kind of wine, but it's literally says Peanut Noir. This is a particular beer. It is a stout that is supposed to be peanut flavored. I did not know when I purchased this, but it comes from a local brewery called the Barnhammer Brewing Company here in Winnipeg. Um, Excited to have it. It contains nuts, so if you have an allergy, don't drink it. But I'm excited to try this. I'm not a huge peanut fan, got to be honest, so we'll see. Do you have any thoughts?
I'm excited. I mean, it is sounds strange. I never tried peanut beer before, so hopefully.
Peanut beer, locally brewed. Here we go. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks for
Cheers.
joining me.
No problem. It's actually good.
Yeah, it's got just a little aftertaste, a little bit of peanut stuff going on there. It's a
I
nice dark
like
beer.
it. Sorry?
It's a nice dark beer, I said.
Yeah, I actually like it.
Very good. Well, let's keep on keeping on then. So your next quadrant, you got your first in that first year, you went from 0 to 10,000. Only cost you a couple $100. You posted really consistent. You found good content. How did you go from 10,000 to 100,000? Did you see a change in some of your tactics? Did this
Well,
require you to try something different? You were learning, so I wonder how your mentality changed and how your tactics changed at that next level.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. My tactics from 0 to 100,000 is actually the same. From 0 to 100,000, all I did was posting the stuff that I'm interested in, something that I enjoy. If I see something that I was learning or I saw online, I thought, okay, this is really cool, then I will share it. So that's the entire tactics. And it works because, I guess it works because I sort of pay attention to what kind of content people like a little bit, and I just share those kind of content. And also, I mean, I just be consistent with the algorithm. Like I understand it's the learning process. When I understand how the Instagram algorithm works, I just keep doing the things that Instagram likes me to do and be consistent with it. Because the thing with Instagram is that they want users to come back to the platform every single day to use the platform because that's how they make money, right? So they want users to keep coming back and they want people to be addicted. And Facebook actually hire a team to make Facebook and Instagram more addicting for the users so that they keep coming back. And actually the key way to do that is to actually have good content on the platform. To have new content, not just good content, but new content every single day. So for users to come back every day, they need to be new content. Otherwise, if they come back, there's nothing interesting, people are not going to come back. So Instagram and Facebook, they want more content. So by posting consistently every single day, and then you show to Facebook that, hey, people are actually liking my content. They comment, they like, they engage with the post. Instagram will be like, okay, this account is helping us making more money by getting the user to keep coming back. I should
send more people there.
Exactly. Let's send more people to them. So that's all I did. I should be consistent, post every single day, create content that people actually engage with, which takes, time to learn and educate, to understand consumer and people people on social media, try to understand what kind of things they engage with. Like, just me, when I browse on Instagram, I spend 3 hours, on average, I spend 3 hours a day on Instagram. It's not posting, because posting really takes me 5 minutes. A post, it takes 5 minutes to post, but I spend 3 hours on average, like on days that I'm actually working. Like on average, I spend 3 hours a day just browsing through Instagram, look at the posts, like the posts I'm following, see why do people like this post? What make it go viral? Why do people commenting on this? Like, what is the top comment talking about? I try to study those kind of things to understand, okay, these are the things that get people to engage with and comment and engage. Then I try to replicate that with my account.
Yeah, makes sense. So it seems like one benefit you had, as opposed from going from 0 to 10,000, 10,000, 100,000, you had more data too. Right? Like when you just have, a few hundred people liking something, maybe it's a small sample size. Maybe you'll see inconsistencies. You're looking at things like impressions, your click-through rates. I would imagine just the more data, the more you know, right? I always like to talk about Netflix. Netflix, of course, their original episodes are amazing now because they have all the data of all the viewers. And they probably know that if I put, Natalie Portman with Tom Hanks, random example, that it's going to be a good show because people that like this person and like that person and like this genre are viewed this many times. Like it's no surprise when you make a good piece of content nowadays, whether you're Netflix or whether you're David Dang, because you have the data. Would you agree?
Yeah, the data, I think that's the crucial. But the cool thing is that you don't have to have a big following to have those data. You can actually access the data from your competition. So I guess if anybody anyone who's trying to build a following on social media and they don't have a big following yet and wondering how they can get the data, study your competition. This is like the biggest secret here. So first, identify your target audience. Who is it that you want to attract, right? Identify that, and then find out where they are hanging out on Instagram right now, what kind of accounts they are following, and what kind of content those accounts are posting that get your target audience to follow those accounts. Study them. Like, that's where you get the data.
Yeah, it makes sense. And sometimes I've noticed you can look for an arbitrage too. Like you see a small account that has one piece of content that is really widely viewed. Sometimes you see a spike like that, right? Where everything's getting only 100 likes, all of a sudden one post has 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
What did that post do that's interesting and it stands out? So that totally makes sense. So you're talking about how from basically from 0 to 10,000 and 100,000, a lot of your strategies were similar.
Yeah.
100,000 to a million. You got to tell me something. Come on, I got to push you. What's something interesting and unique that you did that let you get to a level that, I don't know, everybody dreams of getting to?
Honestly, if you ask me a secret, I don't even know the secret. Really, the secret I just spend back in like, I mean, I don't spend as much time on Instagram now, but back then I used to spend, like, say, 3 hours a day on Instagram just to
Yeah.
study content and study the people on the platform, how they consume it, and really is it replicating what's already working. I guess another secret is I seem I already have like a bigger following. I can leverage it now by interacting with other large accounts. I can be like, hey, if you promote me, I can promote you. So it's like cross promotion between the two accounts. So that's one of the things that's helpful too. Because if I have 100,000 followers, that guy also have 100,000. We can together we can each get both to like 150 with the same the same following.
Yeah, and I also know that it's helping you to create better content too because you have such a big following. Throwing something up on my computer screen here once I find the right tab. Where is it? There we go. So you are able to get in front of people that you couldn't have gotten in front of when you had smaller numbers. So if I look on your account here, I see Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels. If I scroll down a little bit more here, I see Dean Graziosi right here. If I scroll down a little bit more, we see our boy Tony Robbins. You couldn't have gotten in front of these people the way you did to have these types of conversations if you were still at 150 followers, right? How much of an impact did that make?
I think it's huge. Like, really, having a big audience really allowed me to connect with a lot of the big names in this space. Like Tony Robbins, he's probably the number one motivational speaker and mindset speaker right now in the world. Like,
In the
it's a
world.
big name. So yeah, Dean Graziosi, he's another big name as well. Russell Brunson found ClickFunnels, took the company from 0 to 7 figures in a really quick, like, short amount of time. So yeah, I connect with a few people. Also, Damon John from Shark Tank as well. It's really helped. It's like it's cool. Like, when I have this audience, I was able to, because the thing that they need is reach. Because those guys, they already have a big influence, but again, they want to grow more, they want to reach more people, right? And I sort of have a little bit of what they want, so it helps me connect with those people because they want to leverage my following. Not that they need to, but I mean,
It's a marketing channel for them, right?
yeah,
To work with you, you become a partner.
exactly.
And that's something that I think you've been busy on this year, which makes your content better. It helps to promote them when you're, and you're getting paid to do this, right? So this is a
Yeah,
revenue model for your channel. So
yeah,
not only are we talking about you're growing, but you're making more money now too because of that, right?
yeah.
Yeah. You talk about, the time that you invested spending, this 3 hours per day going through and doing your research, how you only spend a small amount of time doing the post, but it's all the work that happens in the background to figure out what your audience likes, what your competitors are doing that works. Can you build an Instagram following and make it big doing it part-time? Or what are your thoughts about
Uh,
time?
you can definitely do it part time because I did it before I started monetize my Instagram. Actually, from 0 to 100,000, it was part time thing for me because back then I was doing some other stuff. I was selling products on Amazon. I was doing drop shipping and I doing like selling T-shirt. Like, my main income was coming from other little side hustle that I was doing online. So from 0 to 100,000 followers, Instagram was my more like a, something I do on the side for fun because something I
Right.
enjoy, right? So I wasn't monetizing it at all. So yeah, I got to 100,000 followers part time, doing it as something that I enjoy, like a hobby. Yes.
Part-time and organically, you were
Yeah.
able to do that. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. So, and then that got you, now you're at 1.4 million. You're at 1.4 million. That opens up a number of different options for you. But can you can you maybe share a little bit from your understanding? What are the things that, not you specifically, but in general, why would somebody want to have 1.4 million followers? Once you build that base, what are the different things that you can do once you have that? I understand, for example, that you can productize. You actually have an audience now, that you have a specific audience that has a specific thing that they like. If you can offer a product or a service to them, it's a way that you can generate more revenue. I understand that you have opportunities through affiliate marketing, because there's a lot of people that want to reach the same people that you know, and now you can offer something there. I understand that you have an opportunity because you have a reputation now and you have a personal brand. I want to hear in your words, like, what are the few things that you can really do once you have that platform, once you have, those fundamentals, and what are you most excited about doing for yourself?
Well, I think that the biggest thing with having an audience is your leverage. Is allow you to connect with people that really outside of your social circle that you normally wouldn't be able to access. But again, you need a huge audience to be able to do that. Like, yeah, that 1.4 millions. A lot of people would say, yeah, it's easy, but I'm probably not going to be able to get to that stage. I'm probably going to get a few thousand, 10,000, 20,000. That'd be the most. Like, what can I do? Why should I build the audience? But I guess, well, there's a lot of things you can do, like you say, right? Selling your products, but it also gives you feedback on, let's say you're building a product.
Right.
Before you build it, you need to get survey, like get feedback from your customer to see what they want or not, right? So one way, a cool way of doing it is build an audience around your product before you even build it. Create content around the product. So again, this works most likely with high-ticket product when you sell something expensive and it requires more educational, like customer education, for them to really understand what your product is about before they purchase. If something, a low-ticket item, $10, $20, it's not really worth it. It could work, but it works best for if you're selling something a few hundred to a few $1,000s or more. You build content around your product before you even build it to see if people are actually interested. If they follow you because of the content around it, you never pitch your product. You never say that I have this product I'm going to sell you. You just create value, good educational content around it. If people follow you, I think that's a pretty good validation for whatever you're trying to build, right? And then you can throw a survey, ask them a question. What do you need help with? If I have this thing that will solve your problem, what specifically do you want? Like, you can get feedback from your potential customer, and then you can build the product for them. So I guess that's one of the cool things you can do. I hope that answered the question.
Makes sense. Now, what are you most excited, David Dang?
Yes.
What are you working on in 2020 yourself, in terms of, now that you have that foundation, where are you going with it?
I mean, for me, honestly, for this year, my goal is to scale out my marketing agency. Really, I have this audience of people who are interested in business, entrepreneurship. And to be honest, most of them, they're in early 20 to early 30s. They're still young. Most of them don't have a business, but they're inspired to have a business. And they're still learning, like aspiring entrepreneurs. I also have a small audience who actually run a business, but they're trying to grow it online. They're trying to figure out, how do I get customers? How do I generate more sales? So yeah, I'm building a marketing agency because I have all these leads. Like, I have 1.4 million potential leads to build something. And I guess a marketing agency is something that I'm working on. But I guess the bigger vision is, to be honest, my bigger vision is to hopefully be something like to interview successful people, like someone like Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Dean Graziosi. Like, I already got the connection with those guys. So I guess my big goal for the next couple of years to really think of like Oprah, but then I would interview all these successful people to spread the message out to more people, because I know those people, they have a really powerful message that could change people's life. And I feel like I have my superpower is to get the message out to more people and to help change their life. So that's my goal, to interview successful people and leverage my audience to reach out to these big guys because they want to reach more people. And I think it is a perfect match.
It sounds like a perfect match to me. For as compared to things, as compared to how things were when you had 0 followers on your Instagram account to now that you have 1.4 million, have things changed a lot? Or would you say things are quite similar? Like, could you do it again if you had to start scratch from now? Has it become more
No doubt.
difficult?
I have no doubt with if I were to lose everything with my skill and knowledge, I can build it again. Maybe not on Instagram. I'm sure I can still do it on Instagram now, but I can apply the same knowledge and constant like the skills I have to any social media platform. I say
Yeah.
any rising social media platform like TikTok, I can do it again on there if I put my focus on it. So definitely, because my strategy is not relying on any of the shady tactics where you would, growth hack or do anything of the shady part. Really, my strategy is a content that relevant to your target audience, and then put that content in front of them. If they like
Totally.
the content, if you have good content, they will follow you. That's as simple as that.
So let's talk about TikTok for a second. Are you bullish about TikTok? Are you excited about TikTok? Or to broaden up that question, is there another social media channel that you're the most excited about right now? Is it still Instagram, or do you see another opportunity right now?
Well, to be honest, I think Instagram is still the king. Like right now, it's definitely still the king. Well, TikTok is on the rise for sure. Like it's growing very, very rapidly. But the only thing with that is mostly the young. The audience is still very young, like early 20 to teenager, which is it's great if you're trying to build an audience quickly. But most of them they probably not gonna buy your product or service.
Right.
So I'm bullish on TikTok, but as of right now, is the audience most of them not going to be able to buy your product. You can still definitely sell your product. There's still people above 20 and 30s on there, but it's just not as much as if compared to Instagram. Instagram is still a better place. Where Facebook, for example, the organic reach is pretty much dead. Like when you post something, if you have 100 people who follow you and you post something, you probably get 2 or 3 people who actually see your content, which is like nothing.
Yeah, you're talking about Facebook, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Facebook.
Yeah, that's a huge. I'm noticing the least amount of interaction with my content on Facebook compared to anything else. At least Instagram, it's focused around visuals, but
Yeah.
Facebook, something with their algorithm, nothing shows. So
Yeah.
I think they might have a bit of a challenge there. When
Yeah.
you see something come out, like when you see TikTok, like what's your mindset? Is your mindset like, ooh, like I need to see the next big thing and be part of it? Or are you more like okay to be patient?
It depends on your goal and what you're trying to do, right? So
Yeah.
if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of budget for marketing and you want to build an audience quickly, jump on the next big thing. Like go on TikTok right now. If you don't have a budget for promotion, like right now, if you want to start on Instagram and you have 0 followers, you will need some initial investment to kickstart your page to get at least a few thousand people to follow you, right? But if you actually have no money to do what I did, we'll spend a few $100, well, which is nothing back then, but now you probably might need to spend more because it's been a few years since I did that, right? So if you're starting now, go on TikTok right now because it's still easy to get attention there. There's still a lot of attention. The only thing is that most of the attention you're getting are most likely not going to be your target audience. But if you do it right, you can still sell them your product or service, or if you have a great piece of content to like a teenager that the 18 years old boy may show it to his older brother or his dad if you have the right content strategy, and you might still be able to get the sale.
Makes sense. So the short answer is it depends, right? It seems like if you have a little bit to invest, you can grow in that, I don't want to call Instagram a mature market, but let's say an established, successful marketplace. You can join that, but you're going to have to put in something.
Yeah.
Versus if you go to the next newest thing, that's maybe the best idea if you have nothing to invest.
Yeah.
So, but again, from a $300 perspective, that sounds pretty organic. Even if you're investing $1,000, it's pretty organic also. But I suppose you can do whatever you want. It might just take more time, right? It seems like time is the number one thing. And if I'm learning anything from this chat already, It's that, any type of startup you're doing, it seems like what you want to do is reduce the learning time as much as possible, or you want to learn as quickly and as rapidly as possible to test things with your target market, whether it's a physical product, whether it's a social media channel. It seems like in any way, like as quickly as you can get people around you that care, the faster you can get feedback, right? The faster you can see what sticks, the faster you can get advice about how to do something, how to grow something. So, that all makes total sense to me. I was going to ask you, you get to see a lot of video and you on the camera, you're building your personal brand. What's happening behind the scenes? So I want you to share, what does your day-to-day look like right now? How are you dividing up your time?
Is very, I don't really have a set schedule. Honestly, I hate routine. Like the reason why I hate having a job is the routine part. Like I hate waking up every day at the exact time and doing the exact same thing every single day. I just hate it so much. Like, so
do you set an alarm in the morning, or most of the time no?
I do set an alarm, but
Okay.
I never wake up at the same time. Like the alarm may ring. Sometimes I get up right away. Sometimes I just wake up before the alarm ring, or sometimes I just hit the snooze button and then sleep for another hour. So there isn't the exact time that I wake up. And even when I wake up, I do. Yeah, I'm not very. I don't have a set schedule, and sometimes I found that I probably will be more productive if I have a set schedule, but I just prefer the spontaneous and the freedom of, seeing I'm my own boss. And then I only have myself and then a couple freelancers that I manage. I don't really have any employee. I have the flexibility to really do whatever I want at whatever time.
Makes sense. So could you walk me through what you say might be an average day in the life of David Dang with 1.4 million Instagram followers?
It's pretty normal. I wake up. The first thing I do, I get on my phone while I'm in bed. So the first thing I do, I do a post on Instagram. Like I post something because I post every single day. I still do my post manually. I don't outsource that part. Wake up, go on Instagram. I post. I check for messages to see if there are any private messages for business opportunities or any sort of things like that. And then I browse through Instagram, do some market research to see if there's any cool idea come up in head. And then, check my email. I guess I spend 15, 20 to even half an hour on my phone. That's the first part of the day. Wake up, brush my teeth, eat breakfast, and then hop on my computer. I guess it's pretty, on average day, I will say pretty lame. Just on my phone, on my computer, at home, working. And that's the average day. Like, I don't know how I would explain it. Talking to clients, interview people, or go on Instagram Live, create video, talking, or like this, get on interview with you. Just talking in front of my computer. That's pretty average day for me.
Yeah, so it's not like you're going in with a very specific list, like here's a 7. I'm sure you have that time. Like I know sometimes I reach out to you and you say, hey, this month is focused on this specific campaign. So I guess there's always that next goal, but in terms of the
so Monday, on day to day, I don't really have specific goal much of it. Most of the time I don't have a goal, but for the month, okay, this month, this is what I'm focusing on. Like every single day, whatever I do, it will be directed toward that goal. So that's my focus for the month. So but in terms of days to days, I don't have any set goal, and I know I should. It would definitely help increase my productivity, because sometimes I feel like, what did I do today, the entire day? I didn't feel like I did anything. So I definitely should have a schedule, but I don't. But I have a goal for the month. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, and you definitely have the goals. It may not be the day-to-day, hour-to-hour, routine, but the fact that, again, the first day I met you when we first started to become friends, first thing I said, like, what's up? What are you doing? And you're like, I'm building an audience on Instagram. Like, you were very clear about what you wanted to do, and you even told me the numbers that you wanted to hit. I think I remember when you had 100,000, you're like, I'm going to go to 100,000 to 1 million. And so, obviously you're keeping track of that, but you're not just looking at the day-to-day thing. Do you have these goals written down, or how are you doing your how are you doing the goal setting that you are doing? Because when you tell me something, you're doing it. Are you just getting lucky, or how are you managing that?
Maybe I think I was getting lucky, to be honest with you. Because, well, I mean, a lot of time when I set goal and I usually have a deadline and a timeline with it, and I can tell you that 90% of the time I always miss my deadline. It's always after like something come up in between, whether I didn't do enough work, I procrastinating, or something unexpected that happened, which multiple times, and which is out of my control. So, but I still set a time and a deadline anyways. But like I say, 90% of the time I always miss the deadline by a bit. So,
Yeah.
But I always have a bigger vision, a goal of where I want to go, and yeah, that's what bring me forward instead of setting a day-to-day task, which I feel like if I do that, it feels maybe tedious for me. I feel, okay, today these are the things I have to do. Like, it doesn't feel as exciting. Whereas if I set like a big goal, like a big vision, okay, I'm going to do that. It sounds really cool. It's a big goal. Then it brings me forward. Maybe I'm just come up with an excuse to not set a daily task, because I feel like if I have a daily task, I feel overwhelmed with the things that I would have to do. But okay, I don't want to do this. There's too many things. I don't know. But I do have a big goal that I set for like in a few months and a few years. I do always have that goal.
That's very interesting. You know, I keep thinking about the word passion. I go back and forth. Do I like that word? Do I not like that word? Because everyone says, oh, you have to have passion. It sounds so soft and fuzzy, like a bunch of stuffed teddy bears. But what I really do think is, you know, if I was to describe, so what you just said, you said, you know, basically big vision, few tasks, you know, few micro tasks, let's say. Versus you have the other type of person, it's like, I have so many tasks, so many appointments, so much on the calendar, but I have a very small vision. The second one sounds like a job, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, that's what I feel like when I have, okay, today I have to do this kind of task, and then it just doesn't feel exciting for me. I look at the task, I don't even want to do it anymore. I feel overwhelmed. But if I have a big vision, that, okay, the next couple of months, this is where I want to be. So what can I do today to get me there? And then when I wake up, I just figure, okay, these are the things that I need to do today to get me closer to my vision. And I just do that. So
makes sense. And if I would hypothesize that if you didn't love your job, that you couldn't do that. I think that's why you need to find the right business to start, because you're doing it for a few years. You know, you realize very quickly that nothing really is a get-rich-quick scheme. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're not going to spend all that time thinking about the vision. And if you're not thinking about the vision, then you're probably not going to be self-motivated. So maybe the reason why you don't need to, you know, to be 100% concrete on what every single task is in your day and what time you're going to wake up and how many times you click that snooze button is because you're so focused on where you're going. And you're so excited about it that it just allows you to go there. So that all sounds phenomenal. So you've done this for the last number of years. Mm-hmm. If you could go back and do it again, is there something that you're like, oh man, like that would have made it so much faster? Like the speed of getting from 0 to 1.4 million followers. What could have made that faster?
Actually, if I were to do it again, instead of focus on the number of followers, I would focus on the sales part, on how to convert them in actual paying customers. Because having the following is a totally different story than having paying customers. Those are two very, very different things. Because in my head, back then when I first started, I remember if I have 100,000 followers, I'm going to be rich. Like, I'm going to make tons of money if I have 100,000 followers. But then the moment I reached 100,000 followers, I was like, I'm making fine money, but it's not, definitely not the number I was imagining. So, you know, I would, if anything, I would focus, okay, just focus, have a small following base, a strong following base who actually love your content and love what you have to offer. So that when you make an offer to them, they're gonna like go crazy about your product or service and buy it. So think of it like Apple. When they release a product, people would line up I mean, not, I guess not anymore, but back in the day when Steve Jobs was still alive, people would line up in front of Apple Store and buy the newest iPhone. So instead of focusing on the big numbers following, I was focusing on building a community of raving fan, people who would go crazy for your product or service. That would be my focus.
Yeah. So less about the quantity and a little bit more about the quality, right?
Yeah.
How do you get those people that you can convert?
Yeah, which is, I guess that's the reason why in the last couple half a year I started building my personal brand, because I found that even though I have 1.4 million followers, a lot of them, they are not connected to me. They are connected to a separate brand called Entrepreneurship Facts, which has nothing to do with me, David Dang. So when I make an offer about something, they'll be like, who is this guy? Why he's trying to sell me something? Should I trust him? So that's
You're
why
building a story.
exactly. So there's no relation there. There's no connection there. So okay, now that's why I'm building a separate personal brand page so that they can get more connected to who I am and what I'm doing day to day. So yeah, I guess I'm not an expert in everything. I'm still figuring things out. I'm still running every day to see, okay, how can I best turn my audience into an actual legit business? It's not just a bunch of people who follow me for free content. How can I turn this into like an actual business that has the potential to scale? So I'm still figuring that part out.
You're figuring it out, but you're taking active steps. I know that you were telling me that you spent more money on training last year in 2019 than you spend for your entire university education. Somebody like myself is always very interested, like, how do you know what you know? Where did you learn it? So I'm assuming you did a lot of it just from Google searching, YouTube searching, just figuring it out, looking at other people, like observing what they're doing, but also watching maybe a lot of podcasts and webinars and understanding, like listen to them saying, here's the 5 things that worked, because the more you soak in, the more you have to give out. But you also did a lot of in-person training. You also went to a lot of conferences. Can you like explain in a nutshell, like what your education process is? And, do you think you did it the right way?
At least I think so. Because when I graduated, I thought, most people would think school is done. Like now it's time to go out there to the world and start making money.
Huge money, yeah.
Yeah, but one thing I soon realized, and most people would agree, the stuff you learn in school really is giving you the very, very basic foundation, very basic, and which what I found very soon. Even 1 year before I graduated, I already found that was the case. So, the funny thing is that after I graduate, I spend more time learning and educating myself than the entire 5 years that I spent in school. Because in school, I just read whatever the chapter the professor required me to do, or do the homework that required me to do. But now I spend time learning things that I want to learn. It's just really all my free time I spend, because these things are really fascinating to me. Like I love learning about marketing and business, entrepreneurship. I just spend my time reading, watch training programs, YouTube video, Google, and learning about these stuff. I spend more time on average a day to study than what I did back in school. And back to, you say, last year I spent a lot of money to educate myself, to learn, and pretty much, go to conferences, learn the best top marketing tactics that are used by successful entrepreneurs, like very big names that you mentioned, Russell Brunson, Tony Robbins, and those guys, they know what they're doing in terms of marketing wise. Like most people just see that they're selling a product or service, but the key that make them really successful is they're great at marketing. They're brilliant marketers. So I spent a lot of money to learn from those guys. So hopefully when I launch my things and as I apply it, it will help me as well.
Yeah, 100%. I felt like going through business school, by the way, that they were trying to teach me their mandate, I felt, was to train you to be a manager. So, and I actually heard that point blank in one of the classes. They're like, we're making sure that you can be the best manager you can be once you graduate. And I'm sitting there like, shit, I don't want to be a manager. And I remember like at that moment in that classroom, as good as that teacher was, it was a communications class. Immediately I just like checked out mentally. because I realized that I'm in a building that wants me to do something that I don't want to do. So it's weird. It's like I was technically in the right faculty, but I felt like I was in the wrong one.
I mean, because honestly, I remember in class, like I was learning about, I guess, talking about marketing, for example. In marketing classes, okay, these are the 5P in marketing, but they never talk about how you actually get your message out to your target customer so that, and how you get them to buy your product. I don't care about 5P. Those things are for, I guess, if you're in a meeting and then you come up with a marketing plan or something like this. If you work for a corporation and they really want to talk using fancy words, sure. But if I'm starting a business for myself, all I care is how do I get my customer to buy from me? Where can I find them? That's all I care. I don't care about 5P or whatsoever. But those are kind of things that I found, okay, yeah, I learned a lot of those cool words or terms in school, but how applicable are they in real life?
Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to start this channel too, man, because I always, like, I feel like that's the number one challenge any business has. It's like, you might know your 5Ps, you might know all the stuff from the textbook, but it's like you actually need to find somebody, and then you need to convince them to buy, and then you need to make them happy with their post-purchase experience, and then you want to turn them into someone who you can keep, and ideally is going to tell their friends and family, hey, you should come and buy whatever ice cream Luke is selling. So I feel like it's such a cool topic because it's educational of like specifically how, by hearing from other entrepreneurs, and it's also inspiring. I honestly, like, it's a hobby of mine. Every time I can hear when there's a super successful entrepreneur that's talking about their early days, it's like, I don't care about how they made their $13th million. I want to know exactly how they found their first customer, what they said to their first customer, and all that. So that's the point where I'm most inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, you know, I've already talked about it with you. I've pushed you. I'm going to push you one more time, just a little bit further. Like, is there a specific tactic or hack or tip that that you don't think is common knowledge out there for growing and building an Instagram following? Something that you might not see if you just YouTube the most popular videos on the how-tos. Is there something specific? It might just be a small thing that you're like, you know what? That's a really cool thing that worked for me.
I mean, really, because I guess one of the things when you go on Google and YouTube is that the information is free. But the thing is that there are too many things. They tell you a million different things, and you don't know which one works, which one's not works.
Yeah.
And I guess they like to be fancy with those things. Yeah, do this little thing, you know, comments or people post or add these little hashtags. Those, sure, some of them work, but really if you focus on the basic foundation, is a good content, and then distribute the content in front of your target audience, the people that you want to attract. If you have the right content that they want to see, there's no doubt they're going to follow you to see more of it. It's just like to say, hey, I'm going to give you $5 for every time you consume my content, you get $5 out of it. Every person in their right mind, they're going to follow you so that every time you publish something, they're going to get $5 in their pocket. Like, everyone in their right mind would do that because free money. I get $5 every time I see, you know, a picture that he posts on Instagram. Why not, right? If you can figure out a way to let your target customer know that, hey, if you follow me, you're going to get $5 every time you see my content. That's okay. Now replace the $5 with the content value in terms of information, educational, entertainment. Replace that, the $5 in one of those things. Yeah. And now, I guess the question becomes, how do I create those kind of content, and how do I get my content in front of my target audience? Well, I just talked about briefly how I started. I paid my way to get the content distributed. So now, once you have good content, you pay money to put it in front of people, they're going to follow you, but then people will be like, okay, but I don't have money. Like, what do I do after? I don't have money to distribute the content. So now, the third part is, I guess, to have a product or service that you can sell to those people. So let's say if you spend $1,000 in marketing, and then you get, I don't know, 100 people to follow you. How can you make $1,000 from those 100 new followers? As long as you can do that, the moment you can break even, when you spend $1,000 and then you make $1,000 back plus a bunch of free followers, that's the game. You repeat the entire thing. Your budget from there on is free, because every $1,000 you spend, you get $1,000 back plus a bunch of free followers. Now your marketing budget is unlimited. It's literally unlimited that moment on. So just keep spending money. As long as you make that money back, keep spending, and in no time you don't get 100,000 followers doing it that way. So yes, if anything, understand that 3 simple steps: create good content, pay your way to put it in front of the people you want to attract, and then how do you convert them into paying customers so that you at least break even for every dollar you spend. Once you got that, that's when you can literally explode very quickly.
Makes sense. So it seems like you're not opposed at all to a paid growth strategy. You did it almost entirely organically. You're a walking, living example of somebody doing it who started and is still largely doing it organically, if I understand.
Yes.
You're basically suggesting that the goal, I guess, is to get to a point where you invest $1,000 cash and you get $1,005 in return from whatever you're doing. You get to a point of return on investment, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Should everybody be on Instagram building a channel? Like I was thinking about it, in an ideal world, you would have everybody building a channel, but it often comes down to priorities. It comes down to, is your target market on Instagram? Are they not on Instagram? If they're not on Instagram, that it's less important. But would you say that there's a benefit to everybody to actually figuring out some kind of online channel and trying to grow it? How would you gauge that? Should they do it? Should they not? And how much time should they invest on it?
I mean, I would say most people should be on Instagram, but probably not all. But one thing everybody have to do is to build an audience of some sort.
Somewhere.
Somewhere around your business. Doesn't matter what you sell. Doesn't matter what you sell at all. If you're in business, you're selling something, the best return on investment is probably to build an audience around your product or service. Doesn't matter what you sell. Whether you sell tea or you sell, office chair, or you sell a digital course, informational product, or you sell, doesn't matter what it is. Build an audience around your product or service. And the mistake people make is, how they build an audience is this great content. This is what in the content. The whole content is about, hey, go buy my product. This is the best thing you could ever buy. That's all they ever create. That is the exact reason why nobody will follow you, because nobody wants to follow you to hear your sales pitch. Build value, content with value around your products that attract your target audience. So identify who would most likely buy your product or service, and identify the kind of content that they're consuming right now on social media, and how can you create those kind of content and make it better and relevant and relate to your product or service. Those are the things you need to figure out.
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick plug for Russell Brunson right now? Because I know that he's helped you so much with how you think this way. Do you want to say in a few words what Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels stands for, and how he's perhaps taught you the hook story offer?
I guess one of the biggest things I learned from him is that, if you don't know, he's the founder of ClickFunnels, and he took the company from zero to over $100 million in valuation in just 3 years. So, and I think now the company is probably worth close to $1 billion. I don't know, but the $100 million valuation was a few years ago. So, the biggest thing I learned from him is that the hook story offer concept, right? So whatever you're selling, you have to have a hook that get people attention. And then once you have their attention, you're going to tell them a story that provide value, educational or inspire or whatever that is, that show the viewers why they need your product or service without being salesy. It's really, by the end of the story, people will be like, I need to do that. and you like I need to get that thing without selling or pitching. And hopefully by the end of this podcast, if you listen until this point, hopefully you'll be like, okay, I need to build an audience. I need to have an audience. And I haven't, I'm not selling you anything right now, but hopefully by the end of this, you feel like, okay, I need to build an audience for my business. So if that's what you feel, and I think I did my job here, and then if I were to decide to sell something, you might buy it, but I'm not selling anything. I'm just saying that's an example, right? So the hook, so the example is that Luke put out a hook. Hey, I'm interviewing David. He's built his Instagram page from 0 to 1.4 million followers. That's the hook. I'm like, okay, I'm interested in building to do the same. I want to get 1.4 million followers. So that's the hook to get your attention. And now, as you're watching this entire interview, that's the story, like the story of how I get started, how I build my Instagram page, how it helps me grow my business. Now that's story that gives you value, that make you want something. And I'm not even pitching anything, but if you actually feel like, okay, I need to build an audience, then I did my job in sort of like selling you the idea of building an audience.
And then hypothetically, you and I could partner. We could put together an online training program. That would be the offer, right? And if they like the story enough and the hook dragged them in, I just heard the story about a guy who built a company called Fit to Fat to Fit.
Yeah.
You've heard about that guy? Okay, from
Russell. Well, Russell talk about that guy a lot. I'm not sure if you heard from Russell, but
I did hear it from Russell. Yeah, I heard that this guy, personal trainer, he decided to gain 75 pounds, a fit trainer to become fat, just so he could understand his clients. And then that's his story. That's selling, I understand, because he can empathize with his customers because he's got this cool, relatable story that shows how much he cared and what he did and basically sacrificed his body just to be more relatable with his audience. Such a cool story. Gain 75 pounds, become fat just to empathize with your clients. Yeah. And I just think that once you have that story, you can sell anything on any channel, right?
Exactly. And it's a great hook too, because anyone who's want to lose weight, they hear a lot of pitches like, this is how you lose weight quickly. But now suddenly one guy's is like, hey, I was fit, and then I become fat on purpose, and so that I can prove that I can get fit again. And now, okay, that's interesting. That's the hook that get them into the story. And then as the guy explained the story of his journey of how he did it, that get people, okay, this guy actually know what he's talking about. If he did it, I can probably do it too. And then people most likely gonna buy his whatever that he's selling, right?
Whatever he's selling. Yeah. I wanna ask your feedback on one more concept, because a lot of people don't have an interest of necessarily going all out to build their own channel, their own following. You know, ideally what you would do is you would do what you said. You build an audience. You have your people. Before you even sell them the product, you already have people that are interested, that see value in your content, and then you start to ask them questions, send them surveys, and it can be a much more authentic kind of transition. But also, like, I want to know your thoughts about just leveraging Instagram and social media as a way to connect with people and to basically validate products. What I had done recently with a business opportunity is I used my personal Instagram account and I direct messaged people that I thought were in my target market with no audience created other than my little personal one, which I guess is still something. People know that you're a human and they can see your profile. But I sent a personal message and I created basically, saying that I'm an entrepreneur, that I was involved in this project. I want your feedback. I wrote a really authentic message. I was not trying to sell something. I just wanted their feedback. And I sent them a link to a video on YouTube. And I basically tested Instagram's algorithm, because if you send too many DMs, you'll get spam blocked. So what I realized is I could send 7 DMs in a 2-hour period. And if I repeated that, I wouldn't get spam blocked. But if I went 8 messages in 24 hours, nope. If I try to do it in an hour, hour and a half, nope. 7 messages every 2 hours. And I was able to contact I contacted, I think 300 or 400 people. And I had a 25% response rate. I remember the response rate. It was like 70 different people gave opinions. And I feel like I indirectly leveraged Instagram just as a means to communicate with people with an authentic message. Do you see kind of opportunities like that to just find people that you think might have an opinion. And just like I would find an advisor on LinkedIn for my business, find a potential customer who's obviously, very interested in what I'm trying to do or sell or provide, and ask them for feedback. Have you seen that type of thing work, or am I being weird?
No, it's definitely works. Like that's one way of doing it. It's like approach. It's just like you walk around the street and approach stranger if they could give feedback on whatever that you're trying to build, right? So it's the same thing. Just as approaching stranger on social media, and it's not Instagram. You can do it anywhere. LinkedIn, like you say, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. It's the same thing. Like yeah, it definitely works. It takes a lot of time and effort though. So
yeah, it's still very time consuming.
I mean, if I were to do it, I'd rather produce content that attract those people coming to me than reach out to them. Because I mean, everyone is different, but I prefer, because I don't like reaching out to people mainly because when you reach out to somebody, they are at, I guess they have the advantage. Like they be like, okay, you're reaching out to me for a favor. The response will be different. But whereas when I create a content that attract them, they are attracted to me. So when I ask them, okay, can you answer this question for me? It's a different, it's a different situation. Like it's a different. You're not really, you're not begging for a response. Like I don't like, this is it's just different. And I found that because I guess I have the skill to create content and to attract people. It's just much easier and less time consuming for me to create a good piece of content, attract a bunch of people, than just to reach out individually. And then ask them
and I don't have that skill. So you have the skill and you did inbound marketing basically. And I didn't have the skill and I did outbound marketing basically. I used Instagram as a means to do, business development. And I felt that was a fine tactic. At the end of the day though, I think no matter what you do, you need to empathize with your audience and say, why would somebody want to read this? They don't know me. I'm messaging them out of the blue. Why would they respond? Well, that's when I tried to say, instead of just saying hi, I actually spent extra time and I put their name in. I spent extra time and I knew something. I made sure that they understood that I spent the effort to look at their personal page. So that's the cool thing when you're an early stage company, whether you're building a channel or whether you're using it for a business development, customer stream, you can spend that extra time and do things that don't scale because, like in your case, once you had your 3,000 or 10,000 followers, it could grow pretty fast after that, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess like I'm more of the inbound marketing styles. I prefer that.
No doubt. And for me, I hear what you're saying, and it sounds like the easiest thing for me would be to find those partnerships. That's the thing that I would be the most excited about if I was you, messaging other accounts like you, having partnerships, sharing content. You told me just the other day, quote unquote, offline channels suck. Do you want to clarify what you meant by that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it sucks. I guess it depends on what you sell. Because of course, there are things that you're selling would definitely offline will still works. But for most of the things that you're selling, not most things, anything can be sold online nowadays. But a lot of the things that worked offline before are not as efficient now if you continue doing it offline. But anything can be sold online. So if you were to put effort into, if I were to choose between online and offline, I would go with online. It's just more efficient, more cost effective, and it gives you better return on investment if you do it the right way compared to offline. It still works. Online definitely still works, but it's not worth the return on investment. It depends on what you do, right? It's not 100% always the case, but it depends on what you do. But a lot of the time, I don't think it's worth the return on investment.
I'm going to title this video "Why David Dang Thinks Offline Channels Suck." So I'm going to frame you for that. So,
all right,
so
that's why I mean we have to be polarized. Because people who really love offline and going, this guy know nothing. He's stupid. He's dumb.
Okay, this is going to be a clip called "Why Offline Channels Suck." So thanks for the permission there. That's hilarious. And do you have any parting advice that you want to leave? You've given a lot of advice on this call. We got a little bit into the tactics. We didn't go too heavy into them. So maybe that's another conversation that we can have. but you basically outlined the few most important things that allow you to go on Instagram from 0 to 1.4. If somebody's watching this and just wants to figure out how to build an audience and they're starting from day one, like, what would you say to them?
Okay. Well, I guess you say I didn't give any specific tactics because there's no tactics. To be honest, I'm not hiding anything. There's no tactics. Really, my only secret is really to understand what my audience wants to see, and I deliver that with my content. There's no secret. Like, there's no secret hashtags that are gonna give you millions of reach, or there's no
Right.
secret caption that's gonna get people like your content. It's all about the value in your content. That's why there's no tactics. It's like, because if you ask me for one tactic, it's like, it's a good content. That's it. So that's why I didn't really give any specific tactics, because there are none. Nothing else matter unless your content is good. No matter what you do, if your content sucks, you can use $1 million to, distribute your content to 1 million people. But if they don't like your content, that distribution means nothing. So that's why I didn't really talk about any specific tactics, because the only thing you need to focus on when you're trying to build an audience is a good content. That's it.
Makes sense. And we believe you, and that allowed you to go to 1.4 million off of that mindset. You figured out what to do, but most importantly, you built damn good content, and that's pretty important. Do you have any final plugs for yourself, for others? If somebody wants to get in touch with you and wants to learn a little bit more, how do they reach out?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on my personal Instagram page. I am David Dang. I mean, it's David Dang. My last name Dang. So yeah, you can follow me there. There we go. So yeah, or like entrepreneurship facts. If you want to learn more about what I do, you can find me there on Instagram.
All right, awesome. For your daily dose of motivation and education and a little bit of David Dang.
Thank you.
Awesome. Really appreciate the chat. Okay, we'll have to have one again. And yeah, I'm really excited to frame you with this offline channel sucks. It seems perfectly controversial. So thanks a lot, buddy. Really appreciate the chat. And I guess I'm going to pound my beer on the other side.
For sure. All right. Take care.
You too, buddy.